Et on m'a plus stay on hard.
All right. Hello. Welcome to another live episode of the BCSN Sports Wrap. Tonight, it's me, Bryan Fulford, joined by good friend, co-hosting today, Mr. Jamie Walker. Jamie, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you on tonight.
Man, I appreciate you having me, man. But looking at the new intro, man, look, typically when I chime in, I don't hear the new music. Look at you moving up like George and Weezy.
Hey, man, we've been doing this so long. I get comfortable. I got to mix up. I got to, you saw I tried to do a little something with the graphics, the promo graphics for the show. You like the little cup sitting and coming in to have a cup of coffee when you peep that, right?
Listen, man, I did all of it, man. Look at this going on, sir, right before football season. I love it.
Man, it happens when you wake up at like 5:30 in the morning. I'm still waking up like I got school in the morning, dog. That's how bad it is right now. I'm still operating like I got to go to be at school at 7:30, 7 in the morning.
Man, I stopped myself from waking up, man. I'll get up for a second, peek around like, oh, I don't have to do this right now. But, then lay back down. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the episode, BCSN Sports Wrap, right here live on the Black Collar Sports Network. We say hello to all of our friends that are tuned in to watch us at the start of the show. As many more will be joining. Hello to everybody watching on Facebook Live. You're watching us maybe on YouTube, on the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube channel. That's at MyJBN Online. Or you could be on our BCSN Sports Wrap YouTube channel. Also on Facebook, Black Collar Sports Network on Facebook, BCSN Sports Wrap on Facebook. We say hello. And, of course, everybody watching us on X. So we say hello to everybody joining us tonight. I hit Jamie up a little earlier yesterday, and I said, Jamie, let's get in, besides some, getting into some of the news that's hot and heavy right now, let's get into talking about, okay, I'm sorry. I'm a little distracted here. We got some Fever versus Chicago Sky action going on right now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Boy. And my girl, Aaliyah Boston, just hit a big three-pointer to bring the Sky to within one with 19.7 seconds left. She didn't even want to shoot it. She was like, oh, hell, I'm here. Let me just step back and bam, knock down this three on Cardoso's ass. So, I'm like, yeah,
that?
That was who's that? Cardoso or Reese? Oh no, that's Reese out there guarding her too. Yeah, I didn't know Aaliyah Boston had that in her. But anyway, so I told Jamie, look, we're gonna talk about games of the year. We haven't had Jamie on in a while, so nothing like throwing Jamie right into the fire and talking about games of the year. So we'll do that coming up in hour number 2. But I got a lot of stuff to talk to Jamie about. I haven't heard from you in a minute, Jamie. But first off, let me ask this question, Jamie. You're an Atlanta area resident. I'm not saying that you actually live in the city, but we all claim Atlanta when you in the area, right? What do you say about 17,000 plus fans showing up to Phillips Arena? I believe, what was it? Thursday night to go see the Dream hosting my Indiana Fever, my hometown. I'm true confession here. I have never made it to an Indiana Fever game, but they represent my home city, so I'm gonna claim them. My Indiana Fever, 17,000 people. Jamie, what about that crowd?
Hey, listen, man. Phenomenal crowd. What I will say about it is, if you've been in the city, you've seen, the support for the Atlanta Dream. I've actually subbed in as a PA announcer for the Dream, along with the College Park Skyhawks. So I've seen that not that kind of crowd, not for a WNBA game, but certainly a lot of support for the Atlanta Dream in general. But it was phenomenal to see. It was great. It tells you, how many eyes are getting on the W, but I won't say that's totally because of Caitlin Clark, but it definitely is phenomenal to see, man. But the W's been supported in Atlanta for a long time. I would say it's one of those cities where it's heavily supported just because of the nature of what they do, the community support. I would also beg to say, because actually I was a beat writer for the Atlanta Voice one time, and my wife was a photographer at that time, pregnant with our son, taking pictures at the Atlanta Dream game. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, but just kind of going back to what you were talking about, it was a phenomenal crowd, man, and just everything going on in the city. It definitely capped off a really good weekend so far.
Yeah, I won't be that guy, and say, look what Caitlin Clark did. I don't know. Who knows? Sometimes when I have fire off tweets at 5:45 in the morning, I can be a little ridiculous, Jamie. So I tried not to be that guy and say, I may have said something. I don't know. Don't go check my timeline, but I may have said something just kind of snarky or being petty like I'm prone to be at times. But no, it was pretty cool though to see 17,000. What I will say is that the Fever are playing better. What I didn't realize is besides having the last year and this year's number one, they got two young ladies on the team that were the number 2 overall pick. So now that tells you, A, the team has been bad for a long time. And B, man, if all that talent starts coming together at the right time, maybe, just maybe, this might be a team worth talking about in bigger perspectives in about another year or two, maybe. I don't know. But
this is the thing about the W, and I know we talk about black college sports on here, but I think it's applicable too. I think whenever you have to find out who you have personnel wise, you can begin to start using them and utilizing what you have correctly. I think what they were doing in the beginning of the season was going too much through a rookie, through Caitlin Clark. Go through Aaliyah Boston and then let Caitlin cook. And then, of course, you have, because if you look at the Indiana Fever in general, they had the likes of Tamika Catchings back in the day. And I think that was the last time they were, at least quasi successful. So now that they have this inside out presence, you're talking about a team now that can cook. I think they had to, that coaching staff had to learn how to utilize them correctly. So I think they'll be fine. They've risen up the ranks, and here they go now. But it's a shame they're about to go to the Olympic break, and kind of stopping that momentum. So
how is that going to work? What is, how long? I mean, obviously the Olympics are in August, I believe. So like it's going to be pretty much a month-long break, kind of like what happens. Not like what they, well, do they do that in soccer? I forgot. Did they do that in soccer? I know.
Yeah, MLS. Yes, they do.
Okay,
they take the Olympic break as well.
Okay, so yeah, right now, Cardoso just missed 2 free throws with 0.5 seconds left. The Fever had just missed a free throw, so it's down to like a 1-point game with under half a tenth of a second. I don't really know how this is going to play out. They're going to put some time back on the clock, but it's crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she missed both free throws, so bad on Cardoso. But the Fever, they came down and rushed the shot. That shows the youthful inexperience of the team. So anyway, Jamie Walker and I talking WNBA basketball. New podcast coming. New podcast coming pretty soon. Let me see. So they put 0.2 on the clock. Can you do anything with 0.2? I thought 0.3
I don't think you can. Yeah, I think 0.3 is the minimum.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know what you can do, just a tip towards the basket. Yeah, you can't do anything. It's a bad inbound throw. 0.2 is you can't do anything with 0.2. Anyway, Chicago wins 188-87. They're happy. They celebrate. Finally got a win over the Fever. That's going to be a great rivalry, though. Chicago and Indy, 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours apart. That's going to be a great rivalry, Looks like there was a great crowd. So, hey, let's give a shout out to a few people jumping in. Jeff Roberts jumping in. Give him a little shout out to Jamie. Always coming in with some Aggie pride, but it's
Aggie pride, Jeff. That's right.
Yeah, got his guy in here, Jamie. Say hello to Jimmy Mack. Good to see you, Jamie. Jimmy Mack, too much estrogen in the game. Yeah, Jamie. See, Jimmy Mack. Don't, boy, you wild. You wild. Theron, HBCU Man Talk coming in. Want to give the Wildcats some love.
Absolutely.
Will Jamie and I have any BCU games on our Games of the Year list? You have to wait the hour 2 to see. Always say hello, Tamara T. Good to see you. Give a shout out to Jamie. Yeah, it's been a minute since we've seen Jamie.
It has. How you doing, Tamara T?
Marvin Allen checking in. Good to see you. Another beautiful day in the state of Florida. What's the weather like in the A, Jamie?
Man, 97 and hot.
Woo,
like not a cloud in the sky, and it's doing too much. So I stayed in the house for the most part.
Sounds like great AC weather. Me too. Stayed in the house. Outside I went out to walk a little bit this morning. I got some sweat in, and that's about it. They came right back inside into the AC.
That sounds like a plan, sir.
Yeah, that's it. So look, okay, let's get into some of the news. Like I said, we got a lot of interesting stories developing. Because Jamie, I thought, I always worry about content. When you're saying what's there to talk about, but really, it's been a busy week. I mean, there's really been some interesting stories that have developed and sprung up over the course of the week. So I know a lot of outlets besides ours are thankful that we have stuff to talk about. And, even though we do stuff like Games of the Year, I did Games of the Year because I'm like, damn, what are we going to talk about? We can find different angles to talk about football games. Next week's show, best D2 games of the year. Who knows? I don't know. That's just how it goes.
No, that's right up my alley.
Yeah, we can talk about all kinds of stuff. So, all right. So, biggest story, I think, one of the major stories from the past week was the announcement that the Southwestern Athletic Conference, the Council of Presidents and Chancellors, unanimously approved a contract extension for SWAC Commissioner Dr. Charles McClellan. The extension will run through the 2032 academic year. Coming from the council's chairman, Quentin T. Ross Jr., I'm not sure what university. Do you know what university Dr. Ross is?
I thought Alabama State, but maybe not.
Okay.
Don't quote me on it though.
All right.
Don't quote me on it. We can
to
have the crack staff look at that real quick.
Right. Somebody knows on the chats. Over the course of the past 5 years, the Southwestern Athletic Conference has made significant strides towards becoming one of the most widely recognized and visible athletic conferences in the country. The visionary and dynamic leadership of Commissioner McClellan has helped propel our conference to prominence on a national stage, while also increasing the availability of financial resources that have positively impacted the overall student-athlete experience. We are undoubtedly excited about the continued upward trajectory of our league under his leadership. One thing I will say, Jamie, that people in the know have told me is that during Dr. McClellan's time, schools have received end of the year checks, something that I don't think used to happen. So at the end of the day, finances and money do matter. So you could probably make a list of good things, bad things. Every commissioner or conference has its challenges or issues. But there are probably more positives on the ledger than negatives over the past 5 years for Dr. McClellan. And that, I'm sure, has made a lot of conferences happy. What is your, and just to chime in, Dr. Cavill comes in and says Alabama State. So ding, 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 Jamie, you were right. Good call, recognition on that. What's your thoughts on Dr. McClellan, his performance as the commissioner, and then your thoughts on the contract extension.
Wow, man. Lot to say on this one. Because you and I are both of the social media savvy, and look at a lot of different people's opinions about different things. Whether we agree, we respect the dialogue when it comes to it. And I think when it comes to Dr. Charles McClellan, it really depends on who it is that's singing the praises of him. In my opinion, I don't think he has done anything that merits him not getting a contract. I think if you compare what he has done with his predecessors and what kinds of things he has gone through in relation to keeping the conference afloat through several instances of trouble for college athletics in general, when you're talking about balancing the books, when you're talking about COVID, when you're talking about academics, when you're talking about just expansion, because I think people forget there were 2 other teams obtained. I think you balance that versus what people may not like about him. And some of the instances are referring to innovation into things that could occur when it comes to media deals and things of that nature. I think he is on par, especially when you're talking about FCS schools, on the right track. And this is someone that I believe, this is someone, talking about me, for example, that kind of looks at commissioners and compares commissioners when it comes to when it comes to analyzing whether someone is deserving of an extension. Now, 8 years.
Yeah, I don't know what's the significance of the number. I'm like,
I'm sure there is a significance. I've heard some things thrown out there as far as it being coinciding with certain media deals, which the fact that there is a secondary media deal in the SWAC tells you a lot, because there are several FCS conferences that do not have that. So I think when you're analyzing the things that goes on with the SWAC, and the things that they are doing and kind of, branching off into new territory, and also there was something D2 HBCU football on Twitter, Kendrick Hooks, great and phenomenal mind when it comes to analyzing certain things. But he had a thread that he reposted in analyzing schools and their financial woes, and conferences when it comes to their financial woes, and whether or not some schools, because of athletics, are becoming too ambitious and just doing too much, because that COVID money is starting to run out. So those kinds of things that you were able to do during this period, you're not continuing to do. So to have someone keep the ship steady, I think is telling. The unanimous selection is also telling, because what you said in the beginning is they're receiving checks for athletics at the end of the season. I think the timing is impeccable, because I think that has something to do with other things. And as much as some people would want, other advancements to go on with the conference, I think there's something to having steady leadership, and someone at the helm that is about the business of keeping the SWAC afloat and doing what's necessary to keep the conference in a really good position. Now, there are some things that are coming up that will be interesting to see, such as, litigation, such as, deals being up and how that is kind of navigated. But I think in the long run, there's nothing that he has done from an administrative standpoint, being a sports administrative person, that he has done to not have the job or not have an extension. Now the length, it's a little bit different. I'm a person that wouldn't want. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate that, Dr.
So some clarification about not necessarily being an 8-year extension. It's just 5 years on top of the 3 that he has left. So
Oh.
in other now, even that will probably draw people to say, well, is giving him an extension while he has 3 years left a little too early or a little too ambitious? Probably not. That too will also drive people crazy. But whatever, just good clarification. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Cavill. But I mean, it really just depends. It depends on who you ask, because again, listening to social media and having an ear out to just certain opinions that are out there, and not just one. There's a lot of opinions about this happening, and depending on who you ask, some people love it, some people hate it. It just depends. I've even heard, and like I said, it wasn't much studying of me when it came to previous commissioners, but somebody asked on Twitter or X, whatever you choose to call it, do you want to go back to previous leadership?
Yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't studied it, but I've heard about it.
do you want to go back?
I've heard.
In that regard, I think that is a viable question. But I think, the steady leadership, it's really about preferences. At the end of the day, there's nothing that has gone on that's been so earth-shattering that it merits having to revamp what you're doing. And if you've been to the greatest heights that your conference has ever received, why would you let a person go?
Exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day, why would that's my question. That's my question. Unless the innovation is so great, that or you feel the innovation is so lacking that it deserves a change within the conference structure. So that's really what I say about it.
This is no different in sports than here's the comparison I see. A college basketball coach, for example, initially signs a 5-6 year deal. After year 2, they have 2 amazing seasons. Like, they go to the Sweet 16 one year, the next year they go to the Final Four. What do you think's coming in the offseason or in the fall? They're adding terms. They're like, yeah, he's still got 3 years left, but they're like, yo, we recognize real early that we got somebody really good. We want to lock him up for another 3 years past these last 3. That's what you do when you have somebody that you respect, you like, you see the job that they're doing. And again, pluses and minuses on the ledger. I got more pluses than negatives, and I think in any situation that somebody sees a negative, this is what I see, Jamie. I see the commissioner trying to better the conference. And has everything worked out? No, not everything worked out. I see my guy Mike Road Dogg. He wants to bring up the whole thing with the with the what was it, the SWAC Classic, and the Memphis game, the Jackson State Southern thing. I get what was trying to be done. It was trying to create a financial opportunity for 2 schools that were going to play each other to increase and make more money, and sort of get a city behind them. So that way, it's not just one-sided. So that way, to think about it. Yeah, Southern and who was this? Jackson State, they're going to make a windfall on their home field, right? But imagine being able to make that same kind of money both years. That's what I think the commissioner was trying to do. You mentioned the thing about, obviously the expansion into HBCU Go. There's an entity that's come on board and said, hey, we have money to spend, and we want to give it to you for the rights to broadcast more games. Is that a bad thing for the conference? No, I don't think so entirely. And again, you can all that being said, while you have this existing contract with ESPN that is, I don't even know when it's coming to an end. I think is it runs through 20. I've heard different things at 25, 26, something like that. We're probably in the last years or two of it, where now the commissioner and the conference will be able to go and ask for more. You know, they'll be in a position to ask for more and say, look at our product. Our product is now being picked up in more places. Our teams are more visible than ever before. You know, and so and then you talk about the expansion of Doc says 2025. So good. Then you look at the expansion of the tournament, the conference championships in different cities around the South. And I was at great conversation on Carlos Brown's show last night, matter of fact, Saturday. Talking about where conference championships used to be versus where they are now. And you have more cities and even potentially newer cities within the Southeastern footprint that want to be a part of the SWAC. So, yes, more business means more opportunities. Unfortunately, yes, there are things, Russell Hayes says, never seen so many lawsuits in the SWAC. I don't know. Russell, are you a historian? I don't know. Somebody might disagree. We got some SWAC historians in the chat room. They might disagree with you. Maybe they may not be as public as they are nowadays, or as big in value as they are now. I don't know.
And that's who I kind of lean on too when it comes to this, because I can't go on someone's faults when it comes to if it's just highlighted of what's wrong when I don't hear what's right. And the other part, and the other part of what's been going on is just really hearing the opinions of those that's been in the SWAC longer, because I don't consider myself, like as an Eddie Robinson, I'm not SWAC, not in that way.
Me neither. Right. I'm new to this SWAC life, right? I'm new to this. Admittedly, I'm new to this SWAC life.
So I lean on people that have been in a while on both sides, of the fray, whether you like it or not. And I hear this, and quite honestly, it's probably 70-30. 70-30 or 60-44. Again, when it comes to whether you like it or not and who you want, and I'm just a person of someone that has given their life to the betterment of the conference, being in there and bettering the conference. And I still go back to saying, okay, compared to your FCS counterparts,
thank you.
Are you better than positioned than what they are? If the answer to that question is yes, how are you not? I mean, what reason do you have to fire or go in a different direction?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the only conclusion I can go to, because I've talked to the likes of had a conversation with I've used my own school, A&T, and the likes of Joe D'Antonio of the CAA. And what they're doing. And I got to be honest with you, it's different, but it's not necessarily any better per se. Mm-hmm. When it comes to certain stuff, I think, what I've liked about what A&T is able to do in relation to, basketball, as far as being able to secure certain your local media rights and keep it, and still having the same contracts and the exposure on CBS Sports Network, is something, that is appreciative, but it's not anything that's so much greater than, what our HBC, well, in particular, the SWAC. I'll keep it talking about the SWAC. If you compare these FCS conferences and secondary deals and things of that nature, I know some people don't necessarily like the structure, but at the same time, it's happening. And if you compare that to another conference, what do you have? So, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. It's like anything else, just the neutrality involved and just analyzing, the pros and cons of the situation. Because where do you go if you go away from here? Where do you lean on, especially in the changing landscape of college athletics? Do you want to actually change up what you're doing in a positive light to say, okay, we're going to do this? So, that's kind of where I'm at with.
I think let's move the conversation forward to things that you would like to see happen. And here's where I think this is what if I were to look at this, and I know the SWAC recently had their conference meetings, spring meetings. If I were to be in that meeting, or if I were to be, consulted, and hey, Bryan, what do you think we are, like they really do care. But I mean, we got this platform, so we can talk all day about this kind of stuff. I would want the SWAC and see, really, I've said this before. And again, when I talk about issues that people have with the NCAA, I tell people you go to your university's president and athletic director. More so the presidents. And I will say this also with regards to issues that people may think are related to the conference. The conference work for the schools. Now, if your university president is involved in athletics and they know what the hell is going on, and you have issues that you see going on with the conference, or you may wonder, how come we don't see more baseball games? How come we don't see more basketball games? I'd love to see more volleyball games. I'd love to see more softball games. That issue starts with your university president, right? I think. Now, and figuring out the infrastructure of how to make games more available is a challenge for a lot of universities. And so, because again, you come down to, Jamie, who's going to produce these games? How are you paying for these games? You probably need to, if you want to use the model and say, well, get some advertising. Who's going to sell this advertising? Who's going to get these advertising dollars? It's not as easy as, as some form of fashion. You've got to be able to figure out a media strategy. So a lot of those questions that I think people have with coverage, I don't put that all on the SWAC's lap. I put that on the school's lap. Now, would you like a media partner to partner up with the conference and show more? In an ideal world, yes. Because we see that happening in a lot of other conferences, right? But I think that's the one thing that me personally I'd love to see. What about you? Is there anything that, if you were to be in that room and have an opportunity to share with the prince or the SWAC people, what would you like to see?
Well, this is where I'm at with that, because I do think there is a degree of innovation that we need to start occurring when it comes to our conferences in general. Number one, I think more control of our content is merited. I think leadership could step in the right direction in making sure that we all look uniform. And what I mean by that is having the equipment to be able to produce and be able to put these games on. It would be great to be able to have a digital network to be able to show the contents and display the contents of our conferences, because I think when you're going to different platforms, the herky jerkiness of what you may see here versus there could stand to be changed some. I also think more of just because I'm a softball, besides football, I call football.
Right.
But I'm also a baseball and softball person, especially softball. I think more of our content should be displayed on the digital networks of these conferences. I just do. And so I think it would bear, standing to have as many partners as possible to be able to display this content, because content is truly king. So I think more control of that is definitely merited. I think some leadership definitely could step in that right direction. And I think, there's a disservice in certain lights to be able to take on new ideas from people. So I think in that regard, yeah, that absolutely could take place. And that does start with leadership. So I think, being able to do those things and making sure that each school is able to put that out there, because what I'll say is, regardless of having the deals and having secondary and, tertiary deals or whatever, I think that it goes a long way to being able to show the essence of everything in totality of what these conferences are able to do. You know, some people want to see, you know, the flag football at an NAIA school if they got a deal. You know, some people want to see men's volleyball that you see in the SIAC. You want to see soccer. So, you know, I saw somebody talk about that, you know, on X, you know, when it came to, you know, somebody serving up uniforms. It was like, okay, I see this uniform on here, but, you know, I don't even see soccer content. So it's like we have a golden opportunity to be able to have more companies come in, and even the content that somebody may not want to display, such as the ESPN or even the HBCU Go deal, have some people come in and be able to display that, because there is an audience for all of that content. So I think it would go a long way to be able to serve in that capacity. And maybe it's coming, but hey, right now, this is the time where all of that could be beneficial to a conference.
I'm gonna one comment that I always love when Dave chimes in and reminds us about the sweet deal that you Aggies have. Here's the question I have, and Dave, let us know here. The Aggie, you know, I would love to know what type of cost in terms of infrastructure or equipment investments did North Carolina A&T make so that they could be up to par to allow Flow Sports to broadcast all of their games the way they do: basketball, football, baseball, volleyball, softball, for $100 a year. Now, again, as a FAMU alum, I would pay that, because again, the inventory of volleyball, softball, baseball, even some women's basketball, men's basketball that aren't shown on the primary and secondary networks is invaluable. And it is a large inventory, right? And knowing that I'm spending $100, that's a great value, Jamie. I mean, you know, isn't it? That sounds like a great value.
It is, if you like Flow Sports. Because what I will say is, and this is somebody that used to work for, you know what I'm saying? Not work as a, you know, subsidiary. Right. It was for the conference, but Flow Sports was the, you know, the vehicle. But what I'll tell you is the production is still the same. Whether the school produces it and whether you know, it at least gets shown. There are some, you know, people that are putting on games without an announcer, and you just see the game.
Yeah,
you know, that pleases some people. Not necessarily my taste.
Not a fan of that.
But,
not a fan of that.
Yeah. So, and Dr. Cavill, I understand that, you know, 100%. But I think the schools have to get, if you want schools, if you want athletics to be viewed as a vehicle upon which it gives, you know, the opportunity for more enrollment and just that visibility, I think the schools, it would be a disservice if the schools didn't invest more into being able to have at least a halfway decent production, or just get that production better to put on a really good product. I don't mind giving my money to something that I know I'm going to see, and it's a good presentation. So, you know, I fully get it. And Dave is right. You know, we do have announcers. You know, shout out, you know, Donnell Ware and company. You know, I even had the opportunity to call a A&T softball game. I couldn't get up there because it was short notice, but you know, those kinds of things are important to people. You know, I know it might be, you know, more important to others than you know, me. Some people just want to see their games, but I think the uniformity in the presentation, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, we'll see.
I've long said this, and any chance I get, Jamie, there is no greater opportunity for upper level broadcast and communication minded students it's almost the same way, you know, you have campus radio stations for a reason, right? Because that's a training ground for aspiring broadcast journalism students. You know, some great people. I mean, Will Packer himself used to do a show on the FAMU radio station. I mean, it was a heck of a show. He used to put some time and energy and effort into it. But so did many others who were broadcast journalism. That was almost like you wanted that gig. You want, oh man, can I get a time slot? And it was fought after. I mean, it was like, you had to know some people, you had to get in line because there was a list of people. And I always have said, man, if athletic departments could find a way to work with your communications departments, and maybe some schools do, some, I don't know, could do better. There are students there that just like the student newspaper, right? It's a training ground. It's an opportunity. It's there. You got to have somebody to run it. But again, this is where I start with your president. Ben talks about the Cat Eye Network. Exactly.
Yes, they do a phenomenal job.
Matter of fact, they were recognized as Sports Information Department of the Year for their effort and what they've done with the Cat Eye Network. But again, that's where you start with your president. Your president, hey, Mr. President, Mr. Chancellor, why aren't our students supporting and helpful? Why don't you have the dean and the athletic director in the room talking to make this opportunity, A, happen for students, B, gives you an opportunity to broadcast and reach more people with our athletics?
Well, this is the thing, man. As much as people talk about Valley puts on a phenomenal game presentation. And even if you have because you can go with the old school broadcasters that want to hear it a certain way. No, those broadcasts are phenomenal that they put on. They really do. Those two young brothers that do the basketball games, and their names, slip my mind right now, but they do an outstanding job. So when you're talking about being able to tap into your talent that's at the school, I think that is absolutely where you start. And I think it solves some of your problems monetarily. Now, the equipment, you got to make some investments in that. But as far as people and personnel, as much as they love their school, man, they would do it for almost nothing. Yeah. So it becomes a thing of expose those kids and those next set of next generation of broadcasters and ambassadors for your school that are out there that you can see, because the technology is there. There's the YouTubes, there's apps you can do. And I know, all schools haven't, tapped into, going to build an app or investing in those kinds of things where, more exposure could take place. But just those small things that you can do are right there for the taking. And the technology is so advanced that you don't have to do too much more. It's just really the want to when it comes to it.
Well said. Let's put a pin in it and get ready to take a short break. Let's come back and talk a little bit about some of the, the Olympics are coming up in a couple of months. And actually right now is that Olympic trial season where you have various sports, track and field, swimming and diving, gymnastics, where Olympic teams are being formed. I think those are the three major tryout sports, right? I can't think of another sport where pretty much everything else is kind of selected or kind of put together. There's teams that are formed. Obviously, they may do their own selection, but the Olympic trial process is happening right now in those three. So we're going to talk about some HBCU players, athletes, rather, good and bad. Some are having some good opportunities. One particular story caught fire, set the internet ablaze when we learned about it. So we'll talk about that coming up on the other side. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. Jamie Walker, Bryan Fulford here. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes right after these words.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working.
Never not working.
never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head and Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Bryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan Fulford, joined by Jamie Walker today. AD Drew is traveling he's always traveling on Sunday, but this time there's no way he can make it in time for the show. So I had to reach out to good friend Jamie Walker, Sport Voice JW is where you can find him on X and IG. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up and the like button, wherever you are watching us. Also want to encourage you, be a part of the Jericho Broadcast Network's Black College Sports Network by joining our YouTube page. You can go ahead and join MyJBN Online. Every membership, monthly subscription, just adds a little bit to help us do what we are doing here to continue to show Black college athletic events. No other platform, I say this with my chest poked out, Jamie, no other platform showed more HBCU athletic events in the Black College Sports Network last year. So we say that proudly, and we are hopeful that we can continue to even do more in that space. So all your support is helpful. Join our JBN YouTube channel, and we appreciate it. Appreciate you stopping in. Say hello again. Mary 305 jumped in. Good to see you, Mary. Thanks for coming in and joining us. Blue Jacket for Life, thank you for coming in. And a little clarification, the Olympics start July 26th. Thank you. I really thought it was in August. That's good. But, that's good for the Olympics. Don't get in the way of football season. So, the Olympics, give me those 2 weeks right before we get into the heart of training camp, which is about we really start paying attention by mid-August. People start doing their fantasy football leagues, and you start getting juiced up for the football season. So perfect. That's perfect. Give me the last week, first couple of weeks of July to get that Olympic craze, and you can go USA, and then all right, peace out. Be good. And you know where the Olympics are this year, don't you, James?
I do, in Paris. In Paris.
They are actually, and that's a good thing because it's a 6 hour. They're 6 hours ahead for those who don't know, which means that's great because we will get a lot of games in a good time window. Things that are happening in the evening will be probably late afternoon, early evening. And then the stuff that you'll get in the morning will be happening probably in the afternoon there. I thought, for example, I think back to London when it was in London maybe a decade ago. That was a good time slot, right, for a lot of good things that happened because you never really missed anything because you either could watch it live or within a reasonable time frame. So, that'll be good. Okay, so just kind of seeing if I missed anything here in the comments. All right, let me go right to again. We talked about the Olympics. One of the hotter stories that hit the HBCU Twitter was the story of Kai Cole. And for those of you who may not know, Kai Cole is I'd say he's the fastest man in the MEAC. Been the indoor. Let me see. I was just looking at Kai's accolades here, courtesy of Norfolk State site. He is the 60-meter and the 200-meter indoor champion, and he has personal records in both. And on the outdoor field, on the outdoor track, rather, holds records in the 100, 200-meter. He's a multi-MEAC champion, an outdoor champion in the 100 and the 200. And so most recently at the 2024 MEAC Outdoor Championships, Kai ran, I believe the time was a 10.0 something, Jamie. Do you recall what the exact time number was?
I don't recall. Not the exact time.
I think it was let me see if I can. I don't know how quickly I can find it. Maybe somebody in the chats knows. It was a 10 something. It was a 10.0 something. It was pretty doggone. Thank you, D-Champ. 10.05. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. So that time would have qualified him to run at the U.S. Olympic track and field trials, which are in Eugene, Oregon, same site as I believe the NCAA champinships this past year. One of the nicer facilities in the country. By all accounts. Have you ever been?
Have not been, but when you're talking about field night and what they do, Oregon is basically the home of track. It's just always been phenomenal to go up there, and those facilities just offer you so much when it comes to hosting track. So yeah, it's no surprise. I'd love to go one day.
Right. So let me see. Okay. So the story or the tweet that came out from Kai is that he posted this on social media and said he wanted to let everyone know that he won't be attending the Olympic trials this past weekend, or actually this weekend, due to the MEAC's failure to sanction our conference track meet. His qualifying time of 10.05 was rejected by the USA Track and Field. Despite my best efforts to appeal the decision, it was still denied, and unfortunately, my university didn't fully support me in effort to get the ruling overturned. Opportunities like this don't come around very often, so for this to be stripped away from me is truly heartbreaking. He says, over the last 5 years, by putting my all into Norfolk State track and field, it's unfortunate that this is the way his journey comes to an end. Being a multi-time champ in the MEAC conference, a 3-time school record holder, it's upsetting that this was out of my control. Now, so that just led to a lot of, oh, what the hell? What happened? Now, it should be noted, okay, because you're trying to figure out, well, what happened? What did the MEAC not do? So, following the MEAC track and field championships, you had the NCAA preliminaries, I think the Eastern Region prelims, right? Which Kai was a part of. Yeah, Lauren says somebody's got some classical music in the back. I don't know. He might be. He's got some classical music playing in the background. I don't know.
Shoot, it might be me. Hold on. Go ahead.
I don't know, James. Lauren says somebody's got some classical tunes. So Kai did have an opportunity. He did compete in the East Regionals. Now, the NCAA East Regionals was a sanctioned event by USATF. Okay. He ran a 10.24. Okay. 10.24. Now, obviously, 0.2 of a second slower than the 10.05 that would have got him into qualifying times. So that 10.24 was not fast enough to qualify. The 10.05, Jamie, would have been. And I think a lot of people didn't know that. I'm gonna hit Jamie for you because I don't know. You might get some classical music. People are loving it though. I'll tell you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people are loving it. Whatever classical music you got going on in the background. The 10.24 was not fast enough, but the 10.05. Now, so now you're saying, well, wait a minute. Did the MEAC not sanction it? Why didn't the MEAC sanction it? What did the MEAC not do? Come to look at it, there are other conferences who do have their conference championships sanctioned with the USATF. Neither the MEAC or the SWAC did. Okay. So we a lot of heat is coming down on the MEAC, but the SWAC didn't either. But all of those athletes who did go on to the regionals, that was a sanctioned event. So, and I don't know if if this is what Russell Hayes is trying to get me to say about getting the story right. I hope I'm doing the story right, Russell, because yes, he did have a second opportunity to make the trials through the East Regionals. Didn't happen. So that because of this turned a lot of people's eyes to the MEAC and saying, well, the MEAC, SWAC, more so the MEAC, why didn't you get it sanctioned? What, and come to find out, apparently, maybe some paperwork, but apparently there's $100 sanctioning fee that comes with it, Jamie, that I don't, 100. I don't know if it was more than paperwork and the sanctioning, but it didn't get sanctioned, put it like that, in the conferences. Now, I don't know how I'll read the statement here released by the MEAC. I don't know how unusual that is. Obviously, this comes around every 4 years. So let's not act like every year is a year that you have to get your event sanctioned by the USATF. This does not happen every year, okay? This is every 4 years. So somebody done the research to say, well, what did y'all do in 2000? Did you sanction the event in 2000? I don't know, okay? But that didn't happen. So after about a day or two, people were, people raising a fuss. The MEAC released a statement. And nobody's ever satisfied, Jamie. So even the statement caught some flack. I've seen people very upset with the statement. The MEAC released a statement, said that they were recently informed through their multiple appeals submitted that to have Kyle approved to compete at this year's USATF Olympic trials were denied, despite his posting an automatic qualifying time at the MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Now, I'm assuming that automatic qualifying time was for the NCAA East regions. Although the MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship remains an official NCAA Division I championship event, USATF policy changes implemented this year resulted in the event not being officially sanctioned, making all competition results ineligible for Olympic trial qualifications. MEAC continued by saying, we understand Kai's frustration and took all available steps to rectify the situation so he could compete, an opportunity he clearly deserves. The MEAC supports the member institutions and student athletes as they pursue their dreams and strive for excellence. We are disappointed by the decision from USATF TF and are working to ensure our track and field championships are sanctioned USATF events moving forward. So, Jamie, given what you saw, and I was one of those people, like, before I didn't quite rip the MEAC, but I was kind of like, yo, this is disappointing. What the hell? MEAC, what's going on? Does the statement or the situation satisfy you? Obviously, we heard from Cole, but what are your thoughts on this?
This is why sometimes when you see certain things come out, you have to kind of slow down and get the rest of the story and the practices of other places. That is what they've done, or what they did was not unusual of other schools and conferences. Yeah, like kind of, what Dave said. There were some sanctioned events that they participated in. There's non-sanctioned events that they participate in, and it does depend on the amount of teams involved in the actual meets. So it's not a thing of of this being the MEAC's fault per se. But I will say, I think it kind of takes some foresight to say at the top, I guess internally, when you think of the conference championship and you think of runners wanting to be their best at the perfect event, such as something that you're defending or trying to obtain as far as a conference championship is concerned, you probably want to have that sanction only because you want to see what these phenomenal athletes do, and you never know the possibilities, the possibilities are within those certain meets. And one of our good friends, Erica, said that in addressing Howard's meets, they went in some events where a lot of their stuff, because of the abilities of their team, they went into a lot of sanctioned events. So all the sanctions means to me is that you have an opportunity to be able to have your time displayed amongst the best, and be able to, if you get those times and those competing times, to be involved in Olympic trials. Now, again, you're talking about every 4 years, but this is not an unusual practice that the MEAC practiced. Now, I would say going forward, after this kind of blowback, I think you'll see those conference championships sanctioned. But even the SEC didn't have their meet sanctioned. So I don't think it's a MEAC thing, or just just a MEAC's fault. It's just the practice of the USTA, and whatever those changes were, which we weren't privy to as far as what was changed or needed to be changed in order to be compliant. We're not sure of that. But at the same time, the statement that came from the MEAC could have been worded a little different because I think the sensitive nature of what people are thinking, along with just the opportunity lost within this, could have been worded just a little bit different, because basically it came out to me like it was Joe Clark. If you looked at Lean on Me and having the meeting with the parents of the kids he kicked out, he was like, I kicked those bastards out, and that's all I'm gonna say. that's how the statement came across to me.
Oh man, never satisfied.
So in that regard, I think it could have been worded a little different, but I understand now from a perspective of what the standard practice is when it comes to sanctioning, that it's not all done the same way in different places. So I get that, but I think the practice going forward will be at least your conference championship will be sanctioned, because you just never know what athletes are going to do in a I would say quote unquote non-revenue sport like track and field. I understand that, monetarily, not, maybe that's a factor, but, not really, to a degree. But I think, they talked about, and I read kind of the regulations when it came to what they do. You have a local officer come out, look at the conditions, things of that nature, make sure, everything is up to par. They put a little flag on, your stuff, and you're good to go. It's typically all it is. So it doesn't, seem to be overly complex. But at the same time, it is an opportunity lost. And I think, you could be a little more sensitive to that, but I hate it for the young man. I hate it for him.
Well, wait a minute. What did you? I just read the statement. I'm trying to figure out what did you read in that statement that you would have worked? Hold on, let me put it back up there again. What? Let me see. We understand his frustration. It took all available steps to rectify it.
I don't see apologize.
Well, but okay.
So I don't see in the end might be the kicker. No further comments will be made.
No further comments will be made regarding this matter.
Like I said, that's all I'm going to say.
That wasn't necessary. Is that what you're saying? Like the last sentence?
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't.
You could have left that last sentence alone and been done. Or maybe they could have sweetened it up. Say, we thank Kai for being a great ambassador of track and field for the MEAC in Norfolk State and wish him the best of luck in his future. I don't know. Even that probably would have got some people upset. I don't know.
Sometimes playing politics is necessary in certain cases. Keeping it real does go wrong at times. Basically.
No further comment and leave us the hell alone. Stop blowing our Twitter handle up about this issue.
So yeah, man, but otherwise, man, after kind of analyzing just the practices of other conferences, in kind of the same situation, it's happened before. It's happened before, and in fact, someone had an entire list of participants because of the sanctionings that weren't able to compete as well. So it's not just a Kai situation. It is quite common within that that space. So I think going forward, because it's not a good look, it doesn't look good, it doesn't feel good. You're taking an opportunity away from an athlete that essentially looks like that it's either the school or the conference spot or both. So I think the best PR move would be, hey, let's make sure the conference championship is sanctioned.
I thought I had a link that talked about some, and now I'm scrambling trying to find it here because I wanted us to kind of follow this up with just talking about maybe kind of any athletes that were competing or that had an opportunity. And I think I had a bad link in there. I'm just kind of going back and I'm reading an article from a couple days ago from Mia Berry on Anscape that makes mention of Howard's Dylan Beard, who was he was competing, I believe, in the 110 hurdles. Just kind of doing a quick scan here. I know you also had Simone Watkins of Howard in the women's 400. Okay, so let me see. So Howard student athletes that were competing in the Olympic trials. You had Jessica Wright in the 400, Samuel Bennett in the 110 hurdles. He was competing as a UK Olympic qualifier. Otto Lang in the 100-meter hurdles representing the Bahamas. Adam Musgrove, the 100-meter hurdles representing the Bahamas. Is Jamarian Stubbs, was he competing? I know he ran a 200 that I think was a qualifying time. Jamarian Stubbs of Alabama State.
I do know he was competing. I know that was kind of highlighted as well. So
UAPB's Caleb Snowden in the high jump. Just checking to see if there's any names that I left off. Those were just some of the names that were mentioned or that were I believe Langston. I saw a report. Langston University had a former student athlete. Hold on, I'm gonna quickly pull up because I saw this on they tweeted this out from their Twitter handle. Let me see how quickly I can pull up Langston's web Twitter feed. Do you might know of who I'm talking about, don't you? Or you
I saw the tweet, and I mean it's quite a few people out there. I know Cam Sturgis from A&T is out there. If I'm not mistaken, Trevor Stewart. So even past athletes, what I'm saying are competing in there. But it's been quite a lot.
So apparently coming
involved
up tonight, this is live from Langston Sports on X. They say congratulations to former Langston track and field and NAIA national champion Zach Beard, who advanced to the men's 100-meter semifinals. That will be tonight at 8:40 p.m. That's 8:40 Eastern, 7:40 Central on NBC Peacock. So he will be in the semifinal round. So again, that's Zach Beard, Langston alum. He will be competing in that. Let's see. Check in. ODB says Sturgis failed to make the finals in the 100. Still good efforts by those guys and gals.
Yeah, I saw that in the Sha'Carri Richardson race. I know. Yeah, saw that.
Speaking of Sha'Carri Richardson, man, so let me back to her story is amazing. I mean, just kind of jumping off where we were, just watching that the other night. Was it she failed to qualify, if I'm not mistaken, for the 2020 Olympics? Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, and it was like some backstory stuff going on there as well, right?
Yeah.
And so then I think she kind of rebounded, rebuilt her career, and I think won the worlds in like 22. It took like a year or two for her to get back to being this woman, right? In that space. Where she qualified and I think will probably go into the Olympics as a favorite. She's the probably reigning world champ, if I'm not mistaken. But just an amazing, she is fast.
She is. And I think overcoming what she overcame, especially in this new social media space where people think that's real, because ultimately self-esteem is kind of, within, it's held in regard with that. And so a lot of people came down because, of course, she had the failed drug test.
Yeah.
And regardless of how people feel about that, those rules are their rules.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, a lot was going on with her when it came to just how she, felt, and she wasn't in a good space. And she didn't make excuses. What she did was she rebounded.
She owned it. She owned it.
She
got back on the horse, rebounded. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
she rebounded. Awesome. She put the work in necessary. And I think once she beat those phenomenal runners from Jamaica, I think it started, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price and company. I think once that occurred, I think, her confidence went through the roof. It was never short anyway, because she was always confident. But I think when you do something like that, she's the next. Dr. But once that occurred, I think, the sky's the limit. And I think she's going into superstardom right now. So,
I think
phenomenal story of not just making excuses, but overcoming them and actually putting in the work to actually do better.
Mm-hmm. A&T Roy dropping in that A&T had 3 former A&T's running. Sturgis, who you mentioned, Trevor Stewart, who's a gold medalist in Tokyo in the mixed 4x4, and Michael Dixon, who was also a former athlete. So former A&T athlete prior to transferring to LSU. I guess that'll be something to watch after we get off the air tonight. That'll be, for those of you, I don't know if, the question is, will it be on NBC or will it be on Peacock? You know, because one of those I don't get. So
it might be both. I know Peacock is it's on Peacock.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure of both if they're simulcasting it or it's going to be on both networks. I'm not sure. Probably just Peacock, but we'll see. NBC needs that content too.
Yeah, as long as it comes on before House of Dragons. I got to catch episode 2.
I have no idea. All I see is the chatter about it. I've never looked at a Game of Thrones. I've never none of that, man. I ain't that cat. If it's not not court shows, cop shows or sports, I'll look at some documentaries. That's pretty much it, man.
Oh man, James, okay, all right. We're not gonna go a deep dive into it, but it's a great summer. I'm gonna just say this. I know you like me and you got teacher time, but Jamie, you gotta put in some time. The first season, man, I tell you, that's one thing I would love to do. I'd love to be able to do I kind of enjoy when these people do these shows where they go back and watch series and do these podcasts. I would love to be able to get a group of people like yourself and others who have not watched Game of Thrones and do a just kind of people like me who've watched it, and there's some others in there. I see ODB, you've watched it, and a few other people. I'd love to do a show with a group of people and then be like, yo, let's kind of watch this series play out and just kind of relive. Dave, see, look, I can get Dave, I can get Jamie, I can get about 3 more people. We're going to do a show where we go back and rewatch like Game of Thrones. And we're just going to do a podcast and just talk about our reaction and watch it.
The last major show I watched from start to finish, not start to finish, just seasonal, was The Wire.
Oh,
literally.
See, now, I'm on the now you're on Game of Thrones. I'm on that. I want to see I have not I got through season 1. I started season 2. It kind of went different direction and it lost me, but people keep talking about The Wire, and I feel like I have to go back and start again from the beginning of season 2 and just try to make my way through it. So see, there you go. You got me with The Wire. So there you go.
Well, like if it's weekly, at just watching it or must see TV every week, The Wire is probably the last series I did that on. Although I had to go back and watch. My wife made me do it. Snowfall. My wife made me go back.
I see Dave talking about he finished Snowfall. See, I'm like on season 5 of Snowfall. I gotta finish. I hear there's like maybe 6 or 7 seasons. I don't know, but I'm deep in, but I just kind of stopped watching for a little bit. So, So again, there's I'm right. Hold on, where is it? I'm right there with you, ODB. I'm like, man. I can't be disgusted because I haven't finished The Wire, but I watched Game of Thrones. So this is summertime. This is the time to catch up on all that stuff, man. This is the prime season to catch up on some of that stuff. Anyway, good stuff. Let me get to one other Olympic note here while we're kind of mentioning the Olympics here. I got to talk about head ball coach of Alabama State, Coach Jose Vasquez, who's preparing to lead Team USA baseball into training camp this upcoming week. Of course, Coach Vasquez is leading the USA collegiate national team. And when I go to the USA baseball site and kind of take a look at their schedule, they're starting with USA Baseball National Training Complex, which is in Cary, North Carolina, on the 26th and 27th. That's where training camp will be. And then they go from that. Now, based off what I'm seeing, I believe there's 2 teams that they field from off of this. They have a team that will compete in international friendship series against Chinese Taipei. It's the 21st USA versus Chinese Taipei International Friendship Series. That is the team that Coach Vasquez is coaching. Then they also do a summer league tour that's going to be a couple of games in Cary, North Carolina. Then they'll be playing up in Pulaski, Virginia, Johnson City, Tennessee as well. And then they do a 4th of July game where they'll basically be the team from the Summer League Tour versus the team from the International Series. And that will be at Segra Stadium in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So sadly, baseball, I don't believe baseball is an Olympic sport anymore, James. I don't think it is. But shout out to Coach Vasquez, 3-time SWAC Coach of the Year, of course, SWAC champion in 2022. And so
in a phenomenal series like that was great. I mean, what that team was able to do. If you followed it from start to finish, it was a great tournament.
Oh, the 2022 tournament?
Yeah.
It was. Who did they play Bethune?
Was it Southern? Or was it Bethune?
Oh, it was Southern. It was Southern because that was that the year. Let me see. The 2021 year was the year. Was that it didn't happen because of COVID, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it 20 that didn't happen? One of those years after, I think 2022. 2022 was the first year with, of course, the expansion of FAMU and Bethune. I'm trying to recall here. I just know that in that game, that was a final game. That game went like 14.
Didn't it go 20 in 19?
It was something. It was a lot of innings. I mean, you had probably.
It was.
I don't recall it, but I just remember they went deep into the rotation, and it went several innings past 9, to say the least. And so yeah, that was a good game. And yeah, I do think they beat Southern. I don't know. Somebody may recall, but so I just wanted to make mention of Coach Vasquez and wish him the best of luck. I was trying to look at the roster and to kind of see if there were any HBCU guys participating, but didn't see any. Obviously, in terms of baseball, HBCU baseball, the next opportunity for a lot of guys will be the HBCU Swingman Classic. That will be July 12th in Arlington, Texas, I believe, is where the Texas Rangers play. That'll be heading into All-Star Weekend. So a great opportunity for them. Okay, let's do this. We got to catch up, and we got to catch up because we're behind schedule. We're going to take a short break. We're going to talk about our games of the year for the upcoming season. Jamie and I are going to give you our top 10 HBCU football games of the year. We've gone through the schedule. We've gone through all 14 weeks. Well, 15 if you count week 0. All 15 weeks. Yeah, and okay, Doc clarifies. Yes, they defeated Southern 15 innings. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. And I'll maybe ask Jamie what game, we kind of talked about week 1 and 0 last week. So maybe I'll come back to that, or we just get into talking about games of the year. So that way maybe we can catch up on time. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. Hit the thumbs up and the like button if you would, however you're watching and consuming the show. And we'll be back in just a short moment.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right. Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan Fulford, Jamie Walker, right here live on the Black College Sports Network. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up and the like button if you would. Want to encourage all of you who pay attention to podcast shows. If you are a podcast fan, whether it's iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Podcast, actually I think Google Podcast is going away, but anyway, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, download the BCSN Pod Zone. All of the shows that are part of the Black College Sports Network, you can download within 24 hours. And we just, please, whatever platform you use, add us to the rotation, man. It's extremely helpful. And then subscribe, just download the show. You ain't got to listen. Just download, subscribe, whatever. I mean, it all helps the algorithm. I'm keeping it real. Even if you play us back at 1.5 speed, which is something I do, Jamie. When I listen to podcasts, I play them at 1.5x. It's amazing.
Wow.
Look, you still sound natural, but guess what? Everything goes a little faster. It's like I dig it. I don't know, but it's
I'm gonna try that, man. I will try that.
It'll take an hour podcast and drop it to about maybe 45 minutes. It's wicked. It's I don't know. I'm a psycho at times, but anyway. Okay, let's get into game. Now, I'm just looking at before we get into games of the year. First off, Jamie, you and we have 3 games where we were simpatico on. Although quite a few games on your list, I was like, I almost wanted to pick that game. So we were almost there. Let me go back. Drew and I kind of talked about week 0 and week 1. The opening games for week 0 and week 1. Some of the notable games that we talked about, obviously you had the MEAC SWAC Challenge to open the season. In week 1, you've got the Red Tails Classic between Tuskegee, Johnson C. Smith. You also got the Black College Football Hall of Fame between Benedict and Virginia State. Some Division II non-conference regional games, Albany State at Valdosta State, Miles at West Alabama. You have the Orange Blossom Classic between Central and Alabama State. Morgan State at Hampton. South Carolina State at FAMU. The Labor Day Classic between Prairie View and Texas Southern. Valley traveling to Tennessee State. That was, I think Drew kind of put that one on his list, and a host of others. Any games out of week 1 or week 0 that you're kind of, without tipping your game of the year or one of your games of the years, any games in that first weekend that you're really high on?
Man, that Red Tails Classic is intriguing to me because I'm always looking at matchups from the CIAA and the SIAC. That come about. I know last few years for Valley and Tuskegee have been involved in that and have been in those, those games. But intrigued with Johnson C. Smith in their recent, improvement, man. Give Coach Maurice Flowers his kudos. Not the showing he probably wanted in the Florida Beach Bowl, but definitely a team on the rise, man. They've been able to, get some really good recruits in. They are buying into that system. So I'll be curious to see the matchup between them and Tuskegee, who, kind of, didn't finish the year like they wanted, but had an opportunity to get in the SIAC championship game. Weren't, able to get into it, but really bringing back if kind of everything goes to form. Because commenting on these games sometimes, you want to start talking about X's and O's, but you really don't know who's going to be there yet due to just the way college football is now. So you kind of just go, on the past and what kinds of things you expect to bring back. And I think Tuskegee brings back a lot of really good personnel if everything is true to form. So that's one game I'm definitely looking forward to seeing.
We obviously know. Actually, we know the dates on all the media days. The SIAC starts first on July 10th, followed by the SWAC on July 16th. July 17th, July 17th is the CIAA media day. And then I wrote it down here, July 23rd is the MEAC with the SIAC media day. Now, I'm not asking you who you think will be in order number 1, 2, but who do you think the group of voters, which I believe it's the coaches and ADs, the SIDs, who do you think they will select preseason or predicted order of finish 1 and 2? Who do you think will make it?
Oh, man, this is an interesting question because I think you got about 6 teams that could possibly do some things. Interesting. I know it won't be Benedict. Just because of I think the coaching changes that are involved and just the personnel that has migrated to Orangeburg.
Okay, I agree with you on that one. I agree with you there.
You're talking about a lot of players, man. Wow, I would say in the mix of 1 and 2. It could come down to a Fountain City Classic rematch. It could be Albany State and Fort Valley. 1, 2. Yeah. Tuskegee is right in the mix as well. But I think Fort Valley and Kelvin Durham. I think, like I said, I'm not gonna go too much on personnel because
it's you don't know what it's gonna look like.
Exactly. Albany State, Coach Quinn Gray and everybody there. Hey man, he steered that ship right. And I think when you're talking about transitioning from a run first ball club to what he was last year and throwing that ball around the yard, I think you're talking about a team now in that second year of that regime that should be improved, that got into that championship game last year. So it could be right now Fort Valley, Albany State, Tuskegee, and then with the cards will fall where they may. But Edward Waters is right up there too in their first year being able to get into that game. And the reason I said, and Miles, don't forget about them too, even though I want to see who's playing quarterback there. Because Edward Waters, I think, is also replacing the quarterback. I know my guy, Jaron Russell. Listen, man, I called that game on ESPN.
Yeah.
And that was a phenomenal contest. It was. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think you got about 6 or 7 teams that could win this thing this year.
I do too. Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of times people will lean on the traditional powers that they know. And then, like you said, who's coming back with a quarterback that you know? So for me, I think instantly 1 or 2 will probably be Fort Valley State. The question is, who will be the other one? Will it come down to Tuskegee or Miles, or maybe Tuskegee and Albany State? Because both Tuskegee, Albany State, Miles coming back with second-year head coaches, but I think all 3 are coming back with new signal callers, if I'm not mistaken.
Tuskegee flipped quarterbacks so much
that
it kind of, I think everyone that's coming back has some experience. I'm not sure if the quarterback Robertson is coming back, but he took a great deal of snaps for them. And I think under Aaron James and that tutelage, they also have a new offensive coordinator, Harry Williams, is coming from Alabama State. So we'll see how that kind of rolls in, even though, Coach James is leading that offensive attack as well. We'll see how that kind of goes. So it's intriguing. And don't forget about, I'm going to go ahead and name a dark horse now, Kentucky State. Oh. Kentucky State showed some flashes last year. They might be on the move, even though they lose a lot of defensive personnel and size. I think they're coming back too, with the likes of Navy Curry and others.
See, I thought you were going to say Clark, because
yes,
I thought you were going to say Clark, and yes, I know Clark was like winless, but they instantly improved. I believe they instantly improved by 5 games because they might have the best quarterback in the conference, and they brought his coach. So it's like instantly. You always think about which teams got the quarterback and which teams got the quarterback. Yeah, I'm saying Clark. I'm not saying Clark is going to get first and second place votes. No, I'm not saying that. But going from 0 to 5, I think is very much in play. I think that's very much in play. But yeah, I
listen. Think, no, Teddy Keaton, man, is a coach that brings instant credibility and change. And when you have taken basically the whole offensive system away and brought it to you, exactly, it works. You already got continuity. So yeah. So yeah. I agree with you.
There are so many. I mean, conference by conference, it's going to be interesting to watch how people predict teams because there's so much turnover, so much uncertainty. I don't think. And maybe I'm being a prisoner of the moment, so I have to kind of every week when I talk about this, I have to kind of catch myself, and I'm waiting on somebody to tell me I'm being a prisoner of the moment. But I just see so much turnover, not only in the MEAC, but in the SWAC. The CIAA is interesting because you're moving away from divisions this year. You're moving into what the SIC is, second year, where they go, hey, best 2 teams go. Same thing.
And it was phenomenal. Thank you, Commissioner Anthony Holloman, for that because it was intriguing football from start to finish.
Well, and that's what will be interesting to see how the scheduling of the CIAA affects that because there are a couple of weeks where you have the old school North versus South schedule, but then there's teams in there who don't play top teams. I'll say Fayetteville State, for example, when I'm looking at the matrix, they don't play Virginia Union this year, but they do play Bowie and they play Virginia State. So that'll be interesting to watch. I'm telling you, Jamie, when we start looking at media day, I think inherently the biggest question that I will be looking at and asking and saying who returns a coach and quarterback combination. And when we look at that combination, I think we will find less than a handful at every school. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just off the memory, off the dome. I think less than 5 at every conference in terms of quarterback and coach returning.
I know something you love, something that's near and dear to your heart. Doesn't this make the gambling aspect intriguing?
Jamie, don't. Yes, it does. Too bad there are no solid markets until like the week up, but that's all right. Mm-hmm. Coming up soon, I'll be posting our win totals, our season win total predictions. That will be coming before media day, just to give people a little extra something to talk about going into media day. Okay. Got to give a shout out to a few more people that jumped in. I see Timona. Shout out to Timona. She loves coming in, checking in. Appreciate you.
Yo, JSU.
Just in time for that game of the year conversation. Who else? Golden Boot coming up.
My people.
Yeah. I think it's this week that my guys from the ONG and we're going to be on the show this week. FAMU and Southern. This week
that's
on
awesome.
Golden Boot. Yeah, so it'll be the BCSN takeover. It'll not only be the ONG, but I think Carlos Brown will be on. So that's going to be fun. Check out the Golden Boot on Thursday night, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. So that's going to be fun. Okay, let's go to – we're going to start with Jamie's HBCU football games of the year. We're going to break these down. I'm going to just put the top 10. I wasn't fancy enough to put graphics in there one by one, but we're going to go down the list. So here we go. Jamie's HBCU football games of the year. And right off the bat, I will tell you I am simpatico with 3 of your games. But let's kind of go. Let's start with the left side, and let's kind of go down, and let's start with some of these games, Jamie. And right off the bat, one game that I am in 100% simpatico with you on is the Orange Blossom Classic between North Carolina Central and Alabama State. Why is this the first game, week 1 for you?
I'm curious because there are a few factors that intrigue my curiosity. I know that the criteria may be different for you as far as games of the year, but it has to have a certain amount of intrigue as well. When it comes to the OBC, I want to see what the attendance looks like.
Okay.
Just to be totally honest with you. And along with that, you're talking about 2 teams from 2 different conferences, the HBCU conferences coming together and clashing in beautiful Miami Gardens. And I think all of them have questions, or both of them have questions. You're bringing in Andrew Body, you're bringing in Walker Harris, those 2 quarterbacks coming in. And I'm curious to see if because you saw a piece of what Andrew Body is able to do or was able to do at Texas Southern before the injury, his dynamic ability to be able to throw the football and run it, his comeback tour, and it's been hyped. I am ready to see it. But when you're talking about North Carolina Central, you know, Trey Oliver, they are the attitude of their head coach. They come in with swag. They're bringing in a new signal caller. When you're talking about Davius Richard, one of the best quarterbacks that's ever come through HBCU football, FCS in general. I'm curious to see where that offense goes and what it's focused on. So that's the intriguing part for me. But along with that, the defenses of both as well. Alabama State brings in, you know, toughness of Eddie Robinson and just that whole crew. And the same thing when it comes to Central. You know, they'll knock your head off as well. So I'm curious to see what goes on there. We're going on to the next story.
Hold on, let me ask this. And this might be, I'm just going to put this out there. Obviously, this is a MEAC versus SWAC battle. What's a better MEAC SWAC battle in the opening weekend? This game or Norfolk State versus AMU to open the college football season in week 0?
I need to see what Norfolk State's doing. I just do. For me to say it's a top, I just need to see what Norfolk State's doing. And don't get me wrong, I think they bring back a lot of pieces. I think they do. But to put it all together, and Dawson Odoms has been able to come in other places and been able to turn it around quickly. And he showed some promise. Hey, he took my Aggies to the brink last year. You know, that game was a whole lot closer than it was supposed to be. But quite frankly, I need to see where they're going to be versus FAMU. That's, you know, the HBCU national champions that, you know, is coming back. A lot of, you know, they've obtained some parts. I'm curious to see who plays quarterback for them too, even though, you know, we'll see. Good point, Dave, when it comes to, starting quarterback hadn't shown up yet.
What does he mean when they haven't shown up? Are you mean he hasn't shown up on campus yet, or he hasn't, like, shown up, period? That's what I'm just
period. I mean, you saw some pieces from him last year, but I'm telling you, that's the questions I have about that. So right now, I would definitely lean towards FAMU. You know, I won't say boat racing them, but I'll say it should be close. But you know, FAMU athletic wise has always been, always been there. It's just a matter of putting it all together at one time and just kind of getting, you know, everything together. But yeah, I think the OBC is definitely the better game.
All right. Then you spotlight September 7th, which is Allen coming to Clark, Atlanta. Man, this was a maybe game for me. This was on my to pay attention to list.
Yeah, and again, the criteria is different for different people, but definitely, Allen and the old Yellow Jackets of Teddy Keaton coming to the new Teddy Keaton team of CAU. You're gonna see a whole lot of people familiar with each other.
And the quarterback, right? Hey, the old quarterback. Hey, our old quarterback is there. Yeah.
But listen, the cupboard's not bare for Allen either. You got to remember David Wright was hurt a lot of the time the year before. So a lot of quarterbacks played on that Allen squad. So I don't think the cupboard is completely bare, but they took a whole lot of pieces. You're talking about running backs and things of that nature. So definitely a thing of intrigue when it comes to that, to see if Allen has anything left and to see what CAU does. You talking about being winless. I don't think they will be that this year.
Hope not. September 14th, a non-conference SWAC game. I know a lot of people love to hate those. This is Southern at Jackson State. Woo, woo.
Listen to me. I've been to that place before, and I got to tell you, those two teams don't like each other. Even though I've listened to broadcasters from both of those, podcasters from both of those folks, and it is cordial and very productive conversation. But outside of it, they call each other all kinds of names, and it's intriguing. That is what I miss about everyday HBCU talk. That is what I miss, that part. But when you're talking about, Southern and JSU already has a lot of pieces there anyway. You bring back the Sidney Carter. You're talking about a running back in Herb Mulligan that's there. I think you have a lot of that team put together, even though I don't think they wanted or did or performed offensively the way they wanted to last year. And that kind of reflected the record. 7-4, first-year head coach.
Not bad. That's
nothing to shake a stick at. It's phenomenal.
Easily could have won 9 games. They could have won 9 games last year.
Exactly.
Not that first game of the year. Not that first game of the year, but they could have won like 9 after. They could have won 3 of those other 4 losses.
Exactly. So I think the intrigue of what that team will be, and they put all of those pieces together, I think they'll be just fine. But when it comes to Southern coming in, Terrence Graves at the helm this year, a lot of different things coming up, man. I don't know what this team is going to be yet. So that's an intriguing game to me. I won't pick a winner because I think when you're talking about rivalry games, the hatred sometimes overcomes what you see on the field, X's and O's wise. So I'm just curious. I would love to be at that game, but I'll probably be calling the game. So we will, we'll see what happens. On the 21st, there's another game I was gonna pick, but I gotta see what MyJBN is gonna do first.
So you're not as excited as Dave. Dave was like, he can't wait for the 21st.
Listen,
like, I want no part of that one.
I'll preview it real quick. I need to see if it's going to be Kevin White or Justin Fonby quarterbacking. I think they have pieces on the outside. I think I need the defense in that odd front, that 3-4 defense of A&T's. If they have the personnel to actually run it, I think they've done well in relation to recruiting. But I need to see if that all comes together against the Central squad, who probably has a little more continuity. So on the 21st, I picked Tuskegee and Elwood Waters as far as intriguing. As far as that game. If you went to that game last year, like I said, I called it. If you saw the game, it went back and forth from the beginning. You thought Tuskegee was gonna run away with it. Elwood Waters came back, and it was back and forth. And then on the last series, with about 1:40 left, they each scored, and then Elwood Waters pulls it out in the end. Almost did it to get the play before they actually scored the touchdown.
Yes.
It was phenomenal. So I'm curious to see if Tuskegee exacts some revenge in Jacksonville this year.
That was a fun game, and that's another game. Look, already those, I think. Hold on, let me look here. Let me do a quick peek ahead. Those 3 games that you just mentioned, the last 3, all on my. That they were on my watch list. I had them on my watch list. But yes, so far I'm right. I'm simpatico with you in terms of real good, interesting games.
Yep. Let me see. Went CIAA here for the next one. Fayetteville State at Bowie State. Can Kyle Jackson right the ship with the Bulldogs? Fayetteville State has had phenomenal success over the past, 4 or 5 years under Coach Hayes. And I'm curious to see if Bowie State is still in contention or are they back? They haven't been where they wanted to be in the last few years. Virginia Union has definitely taken that shine. So with the league being, divisionless, I'm curious to see if Bowie State is actually back. So I want to see if those Bulldogs are there. Also on October 5th, Bama State at FAMU.
Actually,
I want to go to this game.
Actually, that's the other way around. Let me correct you on that.
Okay.
Yes, that's Alabama State's homecoming. So technically, that is FAMU at Alabama State on October 5th for Alabama State's homecoming.
The last time it was at Bama State, you're talking about a close game. FAMU took it at the end. So I'm curious to see what goes on there. Again, once all these teams kind of get settled, especially FAMU, because I think they may have more questions just because of who's going to be where. Is Meritovic going to be the quarterback? Because they brought in a whole lot of stuff, including ex-A&T player. So who's calling the signals for them? But I think that's also an intriguing game. And thank you for correcting me. But that brings even more intrigue because of how close that game was when it was at Bama State before. So yeah, curious to see what happens with that. On October 19th, and hopefully I got this right, Howard at Tennessee State, only because of Tennessee State being in, even though Draylon Ellis and company, they have they have some pieces there, even though they're going through transition. If you look at Taj George, defensive end for Tennessee State, they have some pieces. But Howard is coming off a MEAC championship, and I think their ability to be able to run the football and play really good defense, even though they're replacing some people as well. I'm curious to see how this goes because I think this is an old school slobber knocker right here as far as two teams that want to specialize in running the football. Let me see your other October 19th game.
And I think that game, I think, and I may have, that game is actually Tennessee State at Howard.
It is at Howard. Okay, cool.
It is at Howard. Howard's hosting.
Yeah, still curious about
that one
about what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, at Green Stadium. Okay. All right. Cool. FAMU at JSU. Did I get that one as far as the home and the way right?
You got that right.
Okay.
Boy.
All right. So FAMU at JSU. That's going to listen. This is becoming a rivalry within the rivalry that you hear a whole lot of stuff. And look, I cringe at the kind of talk that goes on. I do, because I'm not that guy. But oh man, to hear the back and forth that goes in, the new guy coming in, to the conference, you ain't SWAC yet. And now they've gone on and won a Celebration Bowl in this era. Ooh. Lord, and coming into that hostile environment, man, at the vet, man, listen, this is going to be, 10-19 is a great weekend.
Look, but, and this is what adds to the feud. Jackson State is not a rival, no matter how bad Jackson State wants to be our rival. Oh, I'm telling you.
I love it. I love it.
Level of talk going into that week. Oh, my God, man. Just
so once that settles down, man, and I see the personnel, I can kind of give it a judgment. And then, October 26th, Southern at FAMU. This is a good one too, because I know the last time Southern showed up, that was a close game as well. And just the environment that went on. I know over the years and talking to, you and other folks that have talked about Southern coming into that game, it's always been a big game, regardless of what conference it was affiliated with. So looking forward to that as well. And then my final one, this is this is probably the MEAC game I'm looking forward to the most. Howard at Central. Central got dog walked when they went to Green last year. I am curious to see what happens. And will they call the dogs off if it's not close?
Will it be a close game, Jamie? Because the last 2 years, the winning team has beat the other team by more than 3 touchdowns. They have not been close games, even though the talk has been like classic. It's been great smack talk following and preceding, but the games have not been close. The games have not lived up to the hype.
The one at Green, like, look, Central went to Green last year, and you know, shout out to those that went. They said it was a phenomenal turnout.
Road
when it
wins
came
too.
to Central.
The road team won the last 2 too.
Yes. So when you're talking about Larry Scott and how he has been able to turn that program around, you can't give him enough credit, because there was so much said about what that team was, what that school was able to do and what they were going to do going forward and things of that nature. You know, he has done a great job. Central, you know, Central is Central. They've been able to you know, set forth a path of winning ways as well. But those two coming together and the banter going about for both of them, you know, Larry Scott's a little more low key, but walks with a quiet confidence. But he heard the noise from the year before.
He did.
And said, "Let me put this 50 burger on Central." And I actually think Trey Oliver respects it.
Right. Yes.
I think he respects it. So I think coming into this year, I'll be curious to go to that game. I know it's gonna be cold in Durham that weekend, but I might have to take that trip. We'll see what happens.
Man.
But those are my 10, man. That you made me narrow these down to, because a whole lot more that I could have put in. It started out 16, but for a long time.
Like I said, I again, 3 games that I'm simpatico with you, but I will say every game that you selected was a game that I had circled, and then I was trying to narrow down why or why not, you know, compared to the games that I chose. All right, let me go to a few comments here while you guys take a look at Jamie's games of the year. Just a reminder, Jamie talking about that Southern FAMU game, myself and the guys from the ONG, along with Carlos Brown, who you know, reps Southern. We will be on the Golden Boot Thursday night, June 27th. So come join us over there, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. So that'll give you your first taste of that. And that is a rival. Edwin Moore makes it known that, yes, that is let's see. FAMU Southern is HBCU's longest running historical rivalry. 2 capital city HBCUs, but SU has a hard time winning in Tallahassee. Interesting. He says longest running historical rivalry. I don't know how you define that. I just know among programs that we have played more than 25 times, Southern is right there. Southern is there as one of the 3 or 4 programs that FAMU has played the most. Another comment from Edwin says the FAMU Jackson State is the game HBCUs want to become a true rivalry game. The question is, will Rattler Nation show up in Jackson and add some flavor to what's cooking in this kitchen? Oh my God.
That is a great question.
Yeah,
it's a great question.
And again, after the last 3 years in South Florida, I think the last time FAMU played in Jackson was maybe 2012. If my short memory comes to mind, man, everybody chiming in about whether FAMU and Jackson or not. Holy cow!
What would you have started?
I started that. Who, me?
I think the chat started that.
Chat started that. Yeah, the chat. Doc says he's interested in Clark. Now, BCU, is that Benedict or?
Yeah. No, Bethune.
Oh,
yes,
really?
They travel to Bethune. And Doc, I agree with you. Although I think Bethune, even last year, surprised some people. And I think they're still improving. They brought in some people and that'll improve that team. But I think offensively, Clark can score. We'll see. That may be a closer one than the experts predict. I think, Bethune pulls it out, but they may surprise you. I agree.
Here you go. Bantalk says Jackson State, who travels to Bethune after the FAMU game, will be surprised when they get to Daytona.
It was close in Jackson.
Yeah, it was.
It was close in Jackson.
It was.
It was.
We'll see. That'll be interesting. Okay. So there's Jamie's top 10 games of the year. Okay. Without further, let me see, Jamie, should I go to a quick break or just come on in with my 10?
Come on in with it, man.
All right. So I'm gonna come in with my 10. And again, as I said, I'm in simpatico with Jamie's list. Now, as you look at my list, I saw Jamie's list and I said, oh, Jamie just went all HBCU versus HBCU games. Now, I had 2 games in here against non-HBCUs that I circled. So that's why as you look at my top 10, you will see 2 games that are highlighted because I had them on my watch list, but obviously they are not HBCU versus HBCU. So, okay. I am simpatico with Jamie about the Orange Blossom Classic. So many interesting storylines there to start that game. I think you went through many of them, so I will echo that, and I will also just kind of say I'm hoping that the North Carolina Central and Alabama State fan base of over 25,000 make that a game. But more importantly, will the city of Miami get behind that game? Because I think that's what also is a interesting caveat. And I think the future success of the Classic will really depend on how the city gets behind this game. So I put that. Now, that South Carolina State at FAMU game, Jamie, a 20, my Rattlers who are in the chat room, is it 20? I think we're on a 20-game home win streak. We haven't lost since, if I'm not mistaken, we have not lost since South Carolina State was the last team to beat FAMU in Bragg Stadium back in 2018, I believe it was. 2018. And my memories, I'm trying to remember, it was either the South Carolina State game at the end of the season or the Jackson State loss at the beginning of the year. My memory fades. It's kind of foggy. It's one of those two. But I remember the last time and it wasn't the last time South Carolina State came to FAMU because we beat them a couple years ago. But I'm just saying the home winning streak, I think, started after the South Carolina State game. But anyway, the debut of Chennis Berry at South Carolina State. Very likely they could be coming in with one of his former quarterbacks from Benedict, Mr. Eric Phoenix. We know about Chennis Berry teams. We know that, look, FAMU, we'll see FAMU obviously a week ahead, which I think gives FAMU an advantage going into that game. The fact that you got a week under your belt. And they'll be ready for South Carolina State, I'm sure. But I just think for an opening home contest, I think that is a huge game for both teams. Okay. So excited for that one. Now, the reason I had the JSU UL Monroe, and actually, I think I have the date wrong on that. I think they actually played the Thursday before September 1st. Jackson State at UL Monroe. When you talk about HBCU games that can be, or FCS games that can, teams that can beat FBS opponents, I think UL Monroe is in the Sun Belt. Somebody's asking about the sound. You can't hear me, Kelvin? Kelvin, somebody says you can't hear me. You can hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. Yeah,
okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm not really sure. But I think this is a winnable game for Jackson State. And technically, I'm looking for Jackson State to win this game. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm expecting, with what you just talked about, Jackson State being one of the few teams in the SWAC coming back with a returning quarterback and the coach, good running game. If you believe the reports, Heisman Trophy running back I'm just saying. I mean, that was out there. I didn't write it, but somebody wrote it. There's a lot of optimism. Jackson State should be optimistic in year 2 under TC Taylor. Go beat UL Monroe. Go beat UL Monroe. Start the year off right and put everybody in the SWAC on notice. Now, if you lose, we'll just say, oh, they're an FBS team, and but I remember the last time Jackson State went to UL Monroe, I think was a pretty close game. It was like a 10-12 ball game.
Thought it was Louisiana, but maybe
was not UL Monroe? Was that UL? Was that
I thought
somebody?
it was ULL. But I could be wrong. Be wrong. But yeah, that game was close. I think that's when went up against not Terry Bowden. What's his name? One
of the other Bowden.
It was about the Bowden coach. So yeah, University of Louisiana.
Not Terry. The other one who used to be at Clemson.
I thought it was
anyway.
Terry. But maybe
you Jackson State folks are in there. Israel, Timona. You guys tell us. What do you guys think? You guys are optimistic about the season opener against UL Monroe? Real quiet.
I think their fan base is optimistic about it, and I think
real quiet.
Even more so than Texas State. I think they have a shot.
Oh, it was.
I think when you're talking about them being able to play the likes of Louisiana Monroe, I think you're talking about them playing them close, and they might be able to pull this off. It's just the continuity that they have going forward. Now, I know if they change some offensive personnel as far as coaches are concerned, so I'm curious to see how that is. And that's really early in the season, so we'll see. We'll see. It's just a matter of can certain things shake.
Now, I spotlighted a game on September 7th, which is for the state of Virginia.
I almost picked this one.
For the Tidewater area to get they should be favorites. Virginia State and Virginia Union of the CIAA going up against former CIAA members, Norfolk State and Hampton. On the same day, imagine the shockwaves, and I think it's in play, Jamie. The shockwaves if the two CIAA teams beat Norfolk State and Hampton. I don't know which one is more likely to get a win, but I'm just putting both Norfolk State and Hampton on upset alert at home, going up against former. I can't call them formal because they are rivals. You got a lot. In the Tidewater area, there's a lot of family divides. I know, for example, in my family, my father's a graduate of Virginia State and Norfolk State, and I bet that's a lot of people's families. Virginia Union and Hampton as well. That's going to be an outstanding Saturday in the Tidewater area for HBCU football. I don't know if the scheduling gods planned it this way or it just kind of worked out this way, but kudos. And I hope you have great attendance at Norfolk State and Hampton for this game. So
the 7th in general is a lot of those crossover games. I want to say Lane goes to JSU. I want to say Kentucky State, goes to Alabama A&M. So it's a lot of those opportunities that exist. I think Bama State plays Miles. There's going to be some upsets there. Virginia State beat Norfolk State. Wasn't it last year? Yes. I think it was just last year.
Exactly. Yes.
So they can go right into Dick Price Stadium and do that. Hampton has an interim coach. Now, Chris Zell is still at the quarterback position, I believe. Like I said, the personnel ones, if you're wrong on those, it is what it is because it's so much moving around. But Union, Union can run that rock.
Yep.
And when it comes to, yes, they can. That could be an upset as well. I won't be surprised if you see at least 2 upsets that weekend with those crossover games.
Hampton's interim coach got some players to come back from the portal. That's always a good thing. I'm super excited about Chris Zellis. I was high on him last year. I think he could be the best quarterback in HBCU football. I'm putting that out there. I thought he was on the cusp of it last year, and then he kind of got hurt late in the season. But I think I don't know what they're going to do in the CAA. I have not handicapped the CAA. I know it's tough, but if if you know, and obviously when you have a new coach, you got to kind of factor all that in. But in terms of having the pieces coming back, Hampton's got the pieces. I don't know why it didn't work out, but whatever. So moving on, I just had to put both of those games in the mix. The next week is I get to one of those non-HBCU versus HBCU matchups. Fayetteville State traveling to Valdosta State. Now, as dominant as Fayetteville State has been in the CIAA, they got a bad history when they get out of conference. And just like last year, they actually did beat one of their two non-conference opponents. Here's another opportunity. And shout out to Valdosta State. I think they got a pair of HBCUs to open the season. I think they play Albany State to open the season, and then they play Fayetteville State. So that I mean, you got no cupcakes for Valdosta State. But for Fayetteville State to be able to push that program one more step up in the region, the South region of Division II, here's that game. Do what Virginia Union did a couple years ago when they went to Valdosta State and beat them. That's what's on the table for Fayetteville State. I think that's a great opportunity for them to do that. Okay. Of course, I too, right there with Jamie, October 19th, FAMU at Jackson State. I mean, self-explanatory. I think that is a barnyard game, 50,000. It should be, I think it's a 4:30 Eastern kickoff. So it's a nice time of the afternoon. Hopefully the weather is not crazy. And I do hope Rattlers show up to that game. I do remember the last time FAMU went to Jackson State, it wasn't that well attended. I mean, now granted, 30,000 in a 55,000 seat stadium is 30,000 is still good, which I think is what the number was, but it wasn't the 50, 45 plus thousand that Jackson State has been doing the last couple of years. So I don't think the Marching 100 will be traveling. So I'm going to tell you all that now. Who knows? Money may show up and things may change. But as of right now, it's not on the schedule. Disappointing, but it is what it is, right? So that's but regardless, because of what we talked about, the talk in the last 3 years, there's your and what's crazy is, Jamie, this isn't even the first big Eastern Division matchup, because obviously you've got you had it spotlighted on yours, the FAMU traveling to Alabama State contest. And I think there's a couple other Eastern Division matchups before this one is even played that are going to have an effect on who comes out of the East. But because of when this game is played, this game could knock someone out of the hunt. I'm just going to say that. This game could knock somebody out of the hunt. Just putting it out there. All right. October 26th, Morgan State at Central. Woo. The big bad Bears, huh? Everybody's dark horse. People are on the Morgan State train just because, even though they got some loud talkers on social media, but this is year 3 of the Damon Wilson. It's time. Everybody's got high expectations. And so North Carolina Central, they're going to be in the conversation. They're going to be in the top 3, I believe, in terms of preseason predicted. I don't know. They're going to get some first place votes. But so this game, one of those games that will go a long way in deciding who will win the MEAC. The Magic City Classic. And the reason I put this on the table, Jamie, not just because it's an East Division rival, it could be an elimination game for somebody. And look, if you believe what people say,
it could eliminate more than just the
yes,
team.
It could eliminate a coach as well, which is crazy to think about. But there's enough people talking about it, and sadly, once that talk starts, it just carries on. So, I had that game circled. A great, a great atmosphere, and it's just going to be eyes on that game. All right. Now, the next 2 weeks, I've got SIC matchups, because the good thing for Fort Valley State is these two teams, they actually host. They host Benedict on November 2nd, and the following week they host is that the neutral site game at Albany State? Isn't that the Fountain City?
Yeah, that's Fountain City.
That's a neutral. But I think we don't know that Benedict is we don't think Benedict will be in the hunt, but they are the defending champs. And there are still some players in that program who have tasted success. They have a coach who has history of winning. So it's not like you're coming in with somebody brand new who's never won anything. This is an opportunity for Fort Valley State. And then the following week against Albany State, punch your ticket if you can win these two games. I think if Fort Valley comes out of this 2-0, and I think you had them. Which week did you had them? You had them against Bowie. Or no. You didn't have Fort Valley State. That was Fayetteville State. But I like Fort Valley State this year, and I think this is their opportunity. Punch that ticket at the end of the season and find themselves in the SIC championship game. And then, of course, you pointed it out as well. Howard at North Carolina Central. I mean, again, I want to see a close game. I don't want to blow. We've seen two blowouts. Road team has won the last 2 years. Both games have been a blowout. It would be great if this one comes down to like somebody having to make some great plays in the fourth quarter on their last possession or two, offense or defense. That's what I think what would make this game and just really solidify, dare I call it a rivalry now? I mean, you got to think if somebody comes out of this game and wins the MEAC, I think it officially becomes a rivalry. Although I don't know if Central thinks of Howard as rivals. I don't know if Howard thinks of Central as rivals. They just probably think each other as other teams in the MEAC. But if the winner of this ends up winning the MEAC, yeah, I think we got ourselves a new fresh rivalry for the decade.
I think so too. I think South Carolina State will have something to say about it, and Morgan State. But yeah, if the winner of that game is the MEAC champion, then I would call it a rivalry.
Mm-hmm. All right. So real quick, anybody in the chats just kind of taking a peek and see anybody got any games that we possibly missed? I mean, what game? Any games that we put on our top 10 list that we might have missed? I'm kind of looking here, other than, when I saw Doc post earlier about Clark at Bethune, kind of just scrolling back through to see if I saw anything here. Doc's in
there was some for you, the Circle City Classic.
Yeah.
Now I know it's Norfolk and Central. But just returning to the Circle City, what do you think about it? What's wrong with D2?
I know, Lennon. He doesn't want the D2 teams on the list. I remember it's an HBCU football games of the year. So I mean, it is what it is. And at 40th year. So here's what's interesting about Norfolk State, North Carolina Central, right? A game that, was originally scheduled. Obviously, the MEAC plays all their games in the final 5 weeks of the season. So that is a conference game now being moved up into late September. What's interesting is both Norfolk State and Central, the fan bases are traveling to cities that they've never been before, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Norfolk State has been to Atlanta in a while. I don't think Central has been to Miami, if ever, in a while. Now, you give them that game, and now you tell those same fan bases travel to Indy. That's going to be interesting to see how they respond in travel. Now, I hope that this being the 40th year of the Circle City Classic draws people in. I would love to be able to add it to my personal calendar and go home to go see that game. I really would. I got to look at the schedules and kind of see, because that's September 28th. I got to look home.
Because I was going to ask you, did you think the city would turn out for it?
If this, man, I hope the city, I hope the promotion is good for it. Now, what is I think what will help it is that both Norfolk State and Central have spotlight television games at the beginning of the year. So if I am organizers of the Circle City Classic, I'm playing the hell out of that. I'm somehow finding a way to promote the fact that two teams who will be coming to the city, you can watch them opening the season on ABC against FAMU, and you can watch them Memorial or Labor Day weekend in South Florida against Alabama State. I'm pumping the hell out of that to give local people a chance to kind of follow two teams that they probably are not very familiar with. So I think there hopefully is some money behind it, because you were able to pull a MEAC game that's a home game for, I forgot who was supposed to be the home team. I think that was Central's home game, maybe. Whoever's home game it was, you obviously had to come up with some money to get that game in Indy, right? And so, yeah, it remains to be seen, Jamie. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't know, because I think last year's game, I think the promotion on it was light and it was late. This year, they got it out early. So you got it out early. You got the website put together. You got people like us and other people will be talking about it at the MEAC Media Days. So it's going to be talked about. And hopefully it'll get people out. But that's what I would do. If you ask me if I was a marketing person for that tournament or classic, I'd be saying, hey, 40th year. And I'd be celebrating the hell out of 40 years of the Circle City Classic, because it changed the lives of so many people in the Midwest, like myself and others. It set the standard for classics in the Midwest. And I know classics I don't know if classics are dying out, but they don't hold that same, they don't seem to hold that same power over us like they used to. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a prisoner of the moment, but this one is kind of held on. So 40 years strong. I hope they can carry it through. I hope so. I'm hopeful. Let me go in here. Let's see. Oh, Lennon, here you go. I don't know. I don't know what, it must be a Norfolk State guy. I think Lennon is a Norfolk State guy. You don't even believe that, but okay. I appreciate you coming on and talking about it. Alabama A&M versus Austin Peay. Is that an opportunity for Alabama A&M to get a win against PWI, a non-HBCU?
I mean, they're playing at OVC Big South. No, hold up. Austin Peay, did they change conference? They may have. But yeah, it is a golden opportunity.
Let me see where is Austin Peay at now? They're in the A-Sun.
Okay.
Yeah, in the A-Sun. So they moved up to. No, hold on. Let me double check where Austin Peay is, because I may be wrong on that. Because they were part of the.
Yeah, they were part of OVC.
Are they still part of the OVC?
I'm not sure, because so many of them changed. So many, that's why they have the old merger with the Big South now, but
yeah, they're part of that United. They're part of that OVC Big South United group here. Yeah. So yeah, they're still part of FCS. Okay. Southern versus Prairie View as a matchup, huh?
Yeah, I'll be curious about that. Just what Southern looks like going forward. You're talking about PV, who I don't think gets enough credit for being West champions. Even though they fell to FAMU hard in the championship, and really a couple of weeks beforehand, they are still defending West champions. So they don't get enough. I don't think they get enough credit just because it's not sexy football. They do it with defense in the running game. So I'll be curious to see what they look like going forward. Really, that West is intriguing. I'm not even going to try to call who's going to, do their thing because you got so much going on. So lots of coaching changes as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think the West is wide open. All right. Well, I don't see any other. I think most of the folks probably agree with our list, Jamie. I think it's a good, healthy list. Games of the year, and so I think that's going to be enough to kind of close it out for us tonight. Obviously, we're going to break down the schedules in so many different ways over the next 2 months, because we gotta fill content. So
we do.
We may talk about we'll be finding some different angles to break these down. I know one of the things I told Jamie offline, we did our ultimate HBCU road trip where we looked at every week, and if we had the disposable income or the sponsorship to say, I'm going to an HBCU site and watch a great game every week, which game would you go to? And not duplicate a road trip. So that show is coming, I promise. So be on the lookout for that. I know we did that. Me, Drew, and Jamie did that last year. So we'll probably plan a date in the next couple of weeks before the media day rotation and kind of have Jamie back on the show and plan for that. All right. Jamie, want to give you the final word. Any thoughts or anything that maybe we didn't mention or talk about that you'd like to mention?
I mean, just watch out. I think this is a banner year for HBCU football in general, and just support your schools and conferences, man. Just continue doing that. Make your voice heard as well, because you do have influence. So just continue doing your thing.
Yes, indeed. I'll kind of end the show with a shout out to, I saw some pictures of Tennessee State University kind of dropping out some images of their new hockey jerseys. Obviously Tennessee State bringing hockey to their portfolio of athletic programs. Obviously, for those of you who do pay attention to this kind of thing, there is going to be a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Although, Florida was up 3-0, and hockey is like the only sport, Jamie, except for maybe there's been an occasion in baseball where teams have been up 3-0 and come back to lose a series. But it happens more regularly in hockey. It just hadn't happened in the Stanley Cup Finals in like forever, where you got a team that's up 3-0 and then you lose the next 3, which Florida did to Edmonton. And now you got a Game 7. I believe it's either Monday. I think it's Monday. This is how off I am. I think it's tomorrow night. Game 7. The Stanley Cup hadn't been back in Canada in like decades. So it's going to be interesting. Will the hot team get a win, or can Florida save embarrassment of losing 4 straight games in the Stanley Cup Finals? So that's what's on. But anyway, the Tennessee State jerseys kind of caught my eye, and I hope that you make those I hope your store and your merchandise store is available to purchase a hockey jersey. I'd even buy one for my sister, who's a TSU alum. I don't know how much they are, but I would definitely buy one. But that's a great fundraising tool. If you can sell those hockey, they call them sweaters. So they're called hockey sweaters. If you can buy a hockey sweater for people to sort of get in that mode of getting ready for hockey at Tennessee State, I think that'd be cool. So yeah, it's been 30 years since Canada has won the Stanley Cup. So Connor McJesus, they call him McJesus, Jamie. That's a bad man, boy. Then, you know, the guy after Gretzky, the next one. So, but anyway, that's what's on the line Monday night. So want to encourage you guys, make sure to come watch, not only just watch all the shows that we have coming up here on the Black College Sports Network, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Tuesday and Thursday night, the O&G Strike Zone, talking all things FAMU athletics on Wednesday. And then also catch myself, Kelvin, and Marcus, along with Carlos Brown of the Carlos Brown Show, Saturdays on the Black College Sports Network. We will all be on the Golden Boot podcast Thursday night, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Go check us out there. That should be a fun show, talking about FAMU and Southern. And go check. Those guys have been doing a great preview. They've been, if you think I think who was it? I know 2 weeks ago was the Morgan Central Howard.
Yeah.
I forgot who was last week because I missed it on this past Thursday. But they've been spotlighting different HBCU teams every week with the people who talk about those teams, which is fascinating. I love that. So they really do. You get a chance to get a deep dive from people who cover those teams intimately. So shout out to Pooh Bear and Ant. You guys do a good job. Looking forward to being back on with you guys on Thursday. So that's going to do it for tonight. Hit the thumbs up and the like button if you haven't already. We appreciate you guys supporting our show, supporting our content. You can always drop us a super chat. If you're watching us on MyJBN Online, you can always make a donation on the Cash App. MyJBN, MyBCSN is how you do that. And, just download and subscribe. Share the show, share the network with your friends and family, and we appreciate it. Let's see. Brandon King. The jerseys are available on July 1. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Appreciate you, B. I got to make sure to get in and I got to go get that. I see looking at it. I'm thinking of my sister already early. And, look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday as well. G-Boom with a late shout out to Jamie. Yeah.
What up, G-Boom?
Follow. If you're not already following Jamie, you guys are missing out. Make sure you follow Jamie on X at SportVoiceJW. That's where you can find him on Twitter. Always a great follow, great content from Jamie, and we always appreciate Jamie coming in and joining the show. So hopefully Drew will be back somewhere. I don't know, maybe in his home studio, but knowing Drew, he'll probably be traveling somewhere. Or from somewhere, I should say. So we will see Drew hopefully next week. And until then, we thank you for watching. For Jamie Walker, I'm Bryan Fulford. Thanks for watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. You guys be well. Have a great week. Be safe. Stay cool. And out of those hot streets. Peace out.
But you stay on hard.